Cheers. ASMR.
Cheers, guys. I prefer bottles, but there's something about drinking out of a can that I do
Something about the stubby cans I like.
Yeah.
The stubby cans are nice. I think.
Yeah.
Do you have a?
They stay cooler.
Do you have a can of Stella? And you get towards
No,
the end, and you're like,
no. Never have a can of Stella.
It's not by choice, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I never have a can of Stella. But today, anyway, Love Lane. Your recommendation, wasn't it? Your
Love Lane.
suggestion. Well, I love Love Lane, and I only found out today Love Lane was the brand, and it used to be Liverpool Craft Brewery. So I had like a 50-minute conversation with the guy in there, and basically, you didn't even know they were Liverpool based, did you?
I didn't even know.
You thought it was from London.
I thought, yeah.
But I've got to hit you with the facts here, because I was like, I'm going to talk about them on the podcast. Tell me a bit of information. Yours was Beer of the Year last year. IPA said they used to do like a pale and an IPA, and he said everyone just called it Love Lane IPA. They just assumed that. Yeah. And he said, so they were rebranding because they were in like under tunnels on Love Lane, and he said, why don't we just call ourselves Love Lane? And then this is a map of the Baltic market, the Baltic Triangle, sorry.
Cool, that.
And then the pin is where they are.
Wow.
It's great, that, isn't it?
Oh, it's the same on mine as well, yeah.
I don't know them. Well,
so what are you drinking?
There's another one. Mine is the New England IPA, naturally hazy and unfiltered, 5%.
Mine's the double dry hopped IPA, and it is a juicy IPA dry hop with bold American hops, tropical fruit notes with a hint of pineapple and mango.
Oh, I picked the wrong one there.
And I'm just on classic.
You can't go wrong with classic though. That's why it's a classic, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is, yeah. But yeah, we're venturing out there now.
Getting about. But yeah, this week's sponsor, Jack, is
Exec. So it's offering a sustainable alternative to designer fashion based in the Baltic. Let me see if I can find it on here.
Not too far from
Not too far from Love Lane, yeah. So buying and selling designer fashion, designer clothing, designer footwear. So check them out. We'll put the link in the bio.
Yeah.
Anything else that you can add to that?
Oh, that's it.
No, that's it, innit, for the sponsor. So today's guest, anyway. On to the guest, the main event.
Hello.
Paddy Smith, chef, owner of many restaurants and bars in Liverpool. So welcome.
Only restaurants. No bars.
The bar's in there, sorry I meant. the restaurant bars, yeah. No bars, yeah. So yeah, restaurant owner and chef, Paddy Smith.
Yeah, ex-chef now, really.
Oh,
it's been a few years since I've had to cook, or want to cook as well. So I'm 53. So yeah. So I cook for about, I don't know, trying to work out now, 30, 40, 20, 25 years, 26 years.
Oh, yeah.
So when did you put the apron down, sort of thing?
Yeah.
Pretty much when I used to work for Ego Restaurants, and I was a group chef there, and I worked for them for about 10 years. And probably the last year or two of that, the original owner sold out in 2008. Some new guys came in and expanded it. I think we were on to about 15 restaurants when I left. So for the last year or two, I didn't really cook that much. Although if we did an opening, I was in the kitchens cooking quite a bit. And then I left there and opened Salt House in 2010. And really, from that point, I didn't do. I mean, once or twice when we were really in the shit. Yeah. But it was really bad if I was going in there. So not since then. But I still love cooking and cook at home all the time. But sometimes, especially in Hanover Street social, sometimes on a Saturday night I'll walk past the kitchen and it's all guns blazing. I think, God, how did I do that? How did I do that all those years?
It's intense, chefing, isn't it? I've worked in a kitchen and just thought, but my blood pressure's through the roof taking this out. Never mind you getting everything together. It seems intense.
Yeah, but I loved it. I mean, I did it for many years, and I wouldn't big it up that much. But some people just have a talent. I wish I was a footballer. I wish I wish I could play football in the Premier League or a musician. I picked up a guitar a few times in my life, and I pick the guitar up and think, you know what? I don't get that. I don't understand it. It's just it doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. And I'll go like that and think I will never ever learn to play. I cannot do that. But in the kitchen, it just
get in flow. Just things.
It just makes sense to me.
Yeah, sprinkling everything. You're like that when you cook. You should see him cook a little bit of this, chopping things, throwing them. I'm very I'm good at cooking, but it's very chop, slide, and I can't. Do you know the walk? He's adventurous.
Best way to say it, I probably fell in love with cooking a lot more recently.
Since you moved out?
Since I've moved out, and I used to I didn't cook for pleasure, I cooked because I had to eat, and now I cook for pleasure. Now I cook and I take pride in my food. I wouldn't just put something cheap in. I'd rather go out and pay a little bit extra and get the good ingredients and make it a proper nice thing. And I think I probably got a love for it now, whereas it's a bit more of a chore back in the day.
I never saw it as a chore. I loved what I did. I started. I was my history as I left school in '85. And all my mates wanted to be, I don't know, accountants or engineers or whatever. And I always wanted to be a chef from a very young age. But in '85, my God, it wasn't like, your kids, compared to me.
Yeah.
You walk down the high street and you'll see, a million casual dining restaurants.
Yeah.
Some really good, some not so good, but millions of them. Back in '85, it wasn't like that at all. It was pubs, hotels, and that was pretty much it. I mean, there was no casual dining at all of anything, and it was chicken in a basket, Black Forest Gatto, and it was pretty crap, really. So, very different to it is now.
My mum always says that, because do you know my two? On the front, my two.
Yeah.
My mum, that used to be called something, and she's like, me and your dad used to go there when we were younger. Used to get prawn cocktail for starters, steak for main, and then Black Forest Gatto for dessert. I'm like,
that was it.
Adventurous, yeah.
Set menu. Just
set
like,
menu,
I'll have the usual, please.
Well, that was quite. Oh, I love prawn cocktail.
Yeah, my mum, prawn cocktail to my mum's a big fan. I'm like, that's just, she's like, no, but it was when I was younger, it was cool. I'm like, yeah, everyone can get it now.
It's
It's
like
mad.
what my dad says, like every time we go, like, it's a big occasion, like, I don't eat meat anymore, but when I did, like, there'd be prawn cocktail for starter, steak, and then we'd have, like,
Black
Forest Gatto with dessert.
So just for the viewers, kind of, what restaurants do you own in Liverpool then? What's
Soul House Tappers was the first in 2010. Then Hanover Street Social came a year after that, and then we opened Baccaro or Baccaro, as Scousers like to say, and Italians, by the way.
Is it Baccaro? Is it?
It's Baccaro.
Baccaro is
but
the
we started calling it Baccaro right at the beginning. When we were planning it and thinking of a name, we saw the word Baccaro,
Yeah.
which is like an Italian Venetian, small plates restaurant back street to we've been to Venice. So we started calling it Baccaro, and it kind of stuck. But it's Baccaro.
Okay.
So, but when we first opened up, the Scouse delivery drivers would walk in. All right, lads, is this Baccaro? and the Scousers were pronouncing it correctly.
Yeah. And everyone's like, that's not how you say it. That's how you say it.
So anyway, so yeah, and then we opened Rocket and Ruby in 2 years ago, which was an abject failure. And that's
Best sausage butter I've ever had in there.
Yeah.
I went to,
The food was
Andy
great.
had a talk
Yeah,
there, didn't he?
yeah.
Come down, and you got a coffee and a sausage butty. And I was at Waho, and you know what he's like for food, never ventures out. And even we bit into it, and he was like, whoa. I was like, whoa, that's no normal sausage butty, that.
yeah,
It's
the
great.
food was great. It just didn't work. We got
What went wrong?
a few things. Wrong concepts. We were right next door to Baccaro. So we kind of wanted to be different, and we ummed and ahed, and the site kind of fell into our lap, and we wouldn't have done it normally right next door to one of our existing restaurants. So it's a long story which I won't go into. So we were trying to think of something different, and we even went to New York, looking for ideas, and there's a couple of places we'd seen that we wanted to try out, and we got the concept wrong. We tried to get it right and got it wrong, and like you just said, the food was great, and everyone who came in loved the food, but nobody really knew what it was or what we were, which was our biggest mistake. And we ran out of money towards the end, and we needed to do something spectacular with the front, which we didn't do. So as you walk past, you couldn't really see in. We put the bar in the wrong place, so you couldn't really sit at the bar and have a drink like you can at other restaurants, which is a great way to generate revenue.
Yeah.
So a number of
Especially
small
after a
things,
meal,
but the biggest thing was we just got the concept wrong. So,
Okay.
which, and that's myself and my business partner, we've been working together for 20 years. I've been in the business for, 35 years. And after we've all our experience and all our successes,
Yeah.
you still make mistakes. It's just like,
Life, innit, yeah.
blow your brains out. So
So the restaurants you own, anyway? we were
yeah,
just
so they're the
getting-
4 restaurants we own, yeah.
Okay, so one of the questions, Michelle Langan?
Yeah.
She asked on Instagram, what made you decide to choose Liverpool if you're not from here? Because you love the club.
No, number of reasons. I knew it anyway because we had an Ego Restaurants on Hope Street, so I'd sort of worked in and around Liverpool for a few years. My family was from Liverpool, moved away before I was born in, it would have been 65, 64. My dad was from Wavertree.
Yeah.
Just trying to think.
Not
where it is.
round, literally down there, yeah.
That way, yeah.
And my mum was, she lived, it's not there anymore, the street's been demolished. Edge Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there used to be a big church there. It's demolished a few years ago. There's a housing estate there now.
Yeah.
They got married there, and she lived on the other side. I don't know what Primrose Street, I think it was called. Oh, Plimsoll Street. So that's all gone. So my family were from Liverpool. So there was an attraction to coming to Liverpool. But I left my old job, and I was looking to do something on my own. And I looked all over the northwest, looked closer to home really, because I didn't really want to drive 40 miles every day.
Yeah.
But we came across Salt House, and it was derelict at the time, and it was only advertised as 1,200 square feet, which is too small for a restaurant normally.
Yeah.
But it said mezzanine and bit of extra
I love
space.
that mezzanine. And it goes around, doesn't it? The toilets go down.
Just
It's-
makes it
yeah.
so we viewed it, and as soon as we walked in, and we weren't planning to do a tapas restaurant. We were just planning to do something, and we didn't know what. And we wanted the building to decide almost what we were going to do, because you're in some place and it just doesn't work, it doesn't feel right, and it just doesn't make sense. And Ego was a little bit like that. Ego was a box standard Mediterranean concept, and we took the same concept and put it here, put it there, put it here, and you walk from one to another and you wouldn't know,
Was it a one-size-fits-all type approach?
Exactly, yeah. And some worked and some didn't.
Yeah.
So when I was sort of driving back the country, going between these restaurants, I always thought, why is that one working and why is that not working? And why are we doing that there? Because that does not make sense to me. And I was just a bloody chef, and what do I know? And these guys had brought Latasca, from Latasca, very successful. And so I thought they must know what they're doing, because they've had Latasca, they've got 80, 90, 100 restaurants, whatever it is. They must know what they're doing. But all the restaurants we closed, we opened, half of them closed. And I was thinking, well, what's going on here? So that got me thinking a bit. And so I thought, when I do something, I want the concept to fit the building it's in. So when I walked into Salt House that very first time, it was derelict and bird shit and everything. Completely knackered. And I just thought Madrid, tapas bars, high ceilings. I thought, this is perfect. And also,
sorry to interrupt, did you have the tapas idea, or did the building
really,
promote the tapas?
It was a building,
Yeah, great.
Yeah. And I thought, small space, what can you do? Tapas it's small, you're next to each other, everyone's been to Barcelona and Madrid and those tapas, and everyone's like, So I thought that this would work. And then the landlords were brilliant. They put the mezzanine in for us, which made it bigger. And then one day they said, we've got a massive basement downstairs. We can put some stairs in for you if you want. You can have that. And I was like, fucking brilliant. So that put all the toilets and all the storage down. So what was on the floor was trading space, which is obviously very valuable. So that was the reason, really. It was a site. And it was a bonus that I was in Liverpool, because I love Liverpool, and enjoyed the last 10 years. Have been brilliant working here.
Yeah, it is good. It is great. Liverpool, it's thriving, isn't it, for all of it?
Just to say, I went to Salt House. Went to Salt House must be about a year and a half ago, 2 years, and I'd say it's in the best top 3 food I've had in Liverpool. Yeah, easily. It was so nice. We were going to the Echo after.
So Hanover Street Social and Bacaro was in the top 3 as well.
Yeah, the other 2.
This is going to sound like...
And number 4 was Pins.
This is just going to sound like I'm trying to one-up them, but Bacaro, it is my favourite restaurant. Do you know when you're thinking of somewhere to go and you can't think, you say, let's go there. I went on my graduation and all sorts. And I brought my mum was like, where do you want to go? And my mum's quite like... She likes to be recommended somewhere and read the menu and watch YouTube reviews of it before she goes. And I was like, honestly, just go. And then everyone was like, no, mum, we need to go. Even on my graduation, it was my mum's 50th and their wedding anniversary. My mum was like, we're coming back here.
It's so nice to hear that. And a lot of people have said that to us. And if you were to say to me, why is it so popular and why is it so successful? I wouldn't be able to answer that, Yeah. I wouldn't be able to say, well, we did this and we did that and we saw something over here and we brought that. And it was another... Bacaro was another one where... We walk around, me and my business partner, we walk around the streets and we're talking and, mulling things over, and we like to see what's happening and who's doing what. And we walked past the site a few times, it was empty, it was an old employment office. And that was advertised, and again, it was advertised at, I think it was at 800 square feet or 900 square feet, very small. And we walked past it about 5 or 6 times, and we discounted it, we said, it's too small. And eventually one of us, I can't remember who, said, let's just look at it, because, we're walking past anyway, let's make an appointment and go and see it. So we saw it, and as soon as we walked in, we realised it was a lot bigger than they were advertising the agency, and it ended up being double the size measured. Wow! So we were like, "This is big, this," and it said ancillary space. I'll tell you about shush. Don't
tell them that.
So it said ancillary space, which was a basement. So the basement was you walk down, you walk down the toilets where the toilets are, where the toilets. So the toilets there, store it. I think this is fucking perfect. Yeah,
struck gold.
So it'd been empty for a year. So we struck gold. It was up for the rent was about 70,000, and we did a deal for 45. But we did a deal on the space, so not on the square footage, on the space. And we did a deal, and I don't think we'd quite signed, or we'd signed, and we were, I can't remember, but we were virtually signed, and we got the agent said, we need to come in and do some measurements for ordering stuff. So we met him one day, and he said, you know what? It's bigger than what we've had. I'm going to measure it. And we're like, okay. So he's like, so he gets his finger out and he measures it. He says, lads, it's 2,200 square foot, this.
Is it?
It is roomy, isn't it? So again, we got lucky that the deal was done, and they were true to the word. We did a deal, and the agency were happy because we were getting a fee, and so a lot of people would have passed up on that because they'd have discounted it because it's too small. So just a bit of luck and a bit of perseverance, and we got a cracking site. But I couldn't tell you why it was successful because it's just.
Do you know what I love about it is one of my mates recommended it to me. On Salt House Bacaro, and I was like, I googled and it just come up Bacaro, And I was like, if he never told me that, I might have been like, you know what, this is very similar to Salthouse Tapas, but
yeah.
it's not like the same thing, but it's kind of, when you're saying the two completely different types of restaurants and cuisine and stuff, but they've both got that thing where you're like,
the same sort of feel about it, yeah.
But something about this, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
that is what we strive to achieve. When you walk in somewhere and you think, I love this place. I don't know why I love it.
You haven't even had a meal or a drink,
but I love
like,
it.
Great in here.
And we do that. We do it ourselves, and we walk in places and think, this is fucking great. This.
Yeah, but you don't know why.
I wish I owned this place. You know? And you don't quite know why, but it's that feeling you get, and that is the indefinable magic.
Do you feel like this is the only kind of similarity I've got? So like decorating a house or like a room, kind of, you do literally put your heart and soul into it. Do you feel like that with restaurants? Is like you kind of curate the whole space and the atmosphere?
Yeah, we designed all the restaurants, and I moved house about 4 years ago. We brought a very old lady's semi and doubled it, and horrific really. I love that. I love the design, and I love the searching out the products and always trying to improve. And we're always trying to improve what we do. Even now we've got plans to put an awning up outside Bacaro, mainly for COVID, to give us outside spacing and cover.
Castle Street's booming outside now, isn't it? I feel like you're on holiday outside.
It is, yeah.
Especially where Bacaro is, it's such where it is. It's such a good point. Like if you're walking onto Castle Street, it's one of the first ones you see. Like, we'll go in there. Do you know what I mean? Which is like location, it's spot on.
Beautiful street. You walk around the corner, you see the town hall, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully in the future they will pedestrianise a whole street.
I think
plant trees down the middle and make it really look, like.
I think the plan is to do that, isn't it? I think at the
there's
minute.
no need to have cars on that road.
Because he's done it with Bold Street at first, and like Bold Street was the plan. It was always been the plan. It's basically pedestrianised anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think the plan is for.
I mean, they've got an issue with the bus routes, but I don't know why the bus routes can't go
past
around.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is, but I think the park going down, it's Cook Street, isn't it? Going down towards the Piccolinos along. I think that's the park there. So whether that's an issue, I don't know. But.
Do you know, with the restaurant that you own, like you said, Joe, you said about Salthouse Tapas, where you went in and it was like, it feels right for this to be a tapas. Of all the restaurants, you had an idea beforehand, or the idea sort of merged from going in and looking at it?
A bit of both. Hanover Street Social, it's a Brazzer, and if you go in there now, and it feels like it's always been there. So, I mean, that was the first year. That was very, very hard.
Is that Salthouse, sorry?
Hanover Street.
Hanover Street.
Salthouse took off virtually straight away. I mean, Jamie's had just opened, and the big queue outside of Jamie's, 100 people trying to get in Jamie's. We'd have 5 people in, and that was hard. But we were. I think our second week we started making a profit in Salthouse, so we were happy. We're fucking making a profit. I mean, I left my old job, I remortgaged my house, my lifetime savings. Everything went into Salthouse, and if it had failed, then I was selling my house and I was homeless. So it was it's just a
big risk,
yeah. So
paid off though, didn't it? That's what I mean.
I mean, I've never gambled in my life, but my business partner said, "Your biggest gamble you've ever done is what we did 10 years ago." So you put everything on black, It's just like
and 10 years, I can remember going there probably 10 years ago, actually, when I was in school, and that's mad, feels like that Salthouse or Bacaro, they're just like, oh, where can we go there? Hanover Street Social as well. I've been. Do you do roast still? Do you just do roast?
Best roast in the
Yeah, unbelievable roast it is actually. Yeah, great roast and a great breakfast as well.
Yeah, but the first year at Hanover Street was slow. The hub had just opened, and we share a corridor with Posh Pads, and they would be packed. They were doing 50, 60 grand a week back, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, 8 years, no more than that, 9 years ago, isn't it? And we'd have 4 people in, and someone would open the door, and you hear that noise in the bar. Oh yeah!
Close.
And we were like, but it took its time, and we built it up, worked on the quality and everything, and it hasn't changed. We just changed the bar last was it January? Yeah, changed the bar, but we hadn't changed at all really. Oh no, we did is work on the quality day after day after day after day, and slowly, we got the trade up, and we bought people's confidence in us, and now it's we've got a great team in there, and we're really proud of what we're doing.
I do love Hanover Street Social.
Everywhere where I've been to, your restaurant, the service is spot on. I can never go and then go, the service was a bit shit today. Do you know what I mean? I've always went and felt like that's what you want when you go to a restaurant.
Mate, I feel like in like I remember there was a girl in Salthouse Tapas, and I was with my ex-girlfriend at the time, and we were like, she's sound there, isn't she? And you're thinking that's a part of a restaurant that you don't even think about. Do you
we try and recruit like-minded people to us, and we like to think we're not dickheads. And I mean, I've heard some stories recently about restaurant and bar owners, and I'm thinking, oh my God, me and Johnny, we're so boring. We don't do any of that stuff. We are so boring. But we are boring, and we don't put our hand in the till. I heard one story, one of our managers, we were discussing it, and she said, I worked in this one place where every Friday the drug dealers would come and empty the safe to pay the owner's drug bills. And the owner would say to me, so sorry lads, there's no money for the staff to pay staff wages this week. I mean, can you imagine?
That could be half me.
Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah.
So we're not like that.
If you think you're boring because you're not living that life, stay boring.
I'm happy being boring.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so we try to recruit like-minded people who think like us, and we like to think we do the right thing all the time by staff. We get it wrong sometimes and we make mistakes, but that kind of attracts similar people, and loveliness is a word that people, I mean, now I think in life, in the media and politics, it's just like this all the time, isn't it?
So much hate. I think there's so much hate in the world.
Kindness is such an undervalued
concept.
And
100%.
so we've had people. Life gets in the way, doesn't it? People come up to us with problems, and I had a guy recently at work, massive problem at home, and he needed some money, and we've helped him out. And we didn't have to do that. We could have said, "No, you get paid. It's your problem. You bloody deal with it." But it'd have been the wrong thing to do. So we've helped them, and we're it's hard for us at the moment. So here's some cash, sort your problem out, and then he can, he's grateful, he's happy, he sorts his problem out, and he's grateful to us. So it's
and then he's better in work because his head's straight.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's dead simple, isn't it? But other people think differently. So
it depends your approach, doesn't it? Definitely.
Yeah.
Depends on your approach.
So gone with you obviously had the restaurant, and you've just recently opened. When did Pins open actually?
Well, we opened Pins. Well, Pins isn't ours. So
you do the food, and they don't.
We do the food, but they opened in February, and lockdown came very quickly, and we had an amicable sort of parting really, because when we were trading beforehand, we were losing money, so we were doing the food and we were getting a percentage of the turnover, and we had to pay bits and bobs, but we were losing money there. So we said when we reopened, we said, look, we can't be paying what we were paying before because we were losing money before, and now everything's changed. You're not going to be as busy as you were before, so we will lose even more money. We can't pay what we were paying. And they said, well, we need you to pay that. So we kind of said, look, let's part ways. And so they're doing the food themselves now. So which is a shame, because the place is if you've been, it is amazing.
Yeah, it's a good concept though.
Yeah, it's great. So it's just timing was just disastrous for everyone really. For them, for us it was a smallish investment. But for these guys, it's huge investment.
Huge, yeah.
So.
It's a big building as well. Isn't
It's huge.
Big building.
It's what they've actually done with it. Is like
they got a rooftop.
It was like an old car park or something, didn't I think?
Yeah, it's a car park. Yeah.
Is that not the one where you could get through to like
over the road
Nation?
from Sound?
Yeah.
No, I know where it is, but you used to be able to cut through,
Yeah.
and it was like Nation and all the balls. on
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
That's
right,
what that was. Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope it works out for them. But so we're not doing it anymore. That was interesting because it's burgers and chicken bites and stuff like that. So we spent a load of time perfecting. I mean, I don't really eat burgers. But I had that many burgers, that many sort of different meats, different patties. Oh God, it was just different buns. It was painful at times. But that's how we focus on the quality in the restaurants and getting. We think the burger was just brilliant, and it wasn't. I think Almost Famous do great burgers, but they're not for me because they're really sloppy and all the rest of it. I don't like it like that. So ours
I like
was
a simple burger, mate.
Yeah, ours was more sort of simple, and you could add to it if you want it to be more like the hot dogs. The hot dogs, I don't really like hot dogs, but these hot dogs were fucking brilliant. So we spent a lot of time working on it, and it's a shame it's not worked out. But that's where we are now in the country and the world. Yeah, it's just you got to make difficult decisions like that, and we couldn't be in there. And they hopefully it'll work out for them.
100%.
Yeah, I think it should do. It seems every weekend I see somewhere on some sort of social media someone's in Pins, and there's
nothing like there. There's nothing like it, is there anywhere, sort of thing. But sort of going back onto the restaurant that you do have, how did sort of coronavirus affect you? How have you what's the response been for yourselves? How have you found it?
We'll go back to March. We talked about this today with the new sort of lockdowns in the northeast. March was tough, probably the toughest 2 or 3 weeks in our career. We could, we in January, Johnny and my business partner and myself, we sat down and we both said, if this takes off, this is going to be really, really bad. And we, week after week, we kind of like looked with horror at what was happening in China, and it slowly spread. We were kind of fortunate where it happened in our sort of financial cycle, and we weren't too bad. But we closed, I think, was it 20? I think it was my birthday on the 22nd of March, and I think we closed the week before. I can't remember the week before, week after, but we closed before we were told to close because it was right. Tell you what, we closed on the week before Mother's Day, and that's what really prompted us, because Hanover Street had 400 people booked in on Mother's Day. Yeah. So the previous week we were like, oh, let's try and get a week or 2 weeks, and then because we work the money and blah 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 blah. And then it was like we met on a Monday, and I said to Jonathan, I said I can't trade Sunday. I said we can't have a load of old people in here.
Yeah.
What if they get the virus and they die and it comes back? I just can't do it. So we said okay, Friday, and then every day came came a day closer, and I think we closed on a Wednesday in the end, and I think on the Wednesday we were still going to trade that day, and we just sat there at lunchtime and we said today's the day, let's just close. So we just closed that day, and that was in some ways liberating, in some ways terrifying, because it was liberating because we're all in it, and what's going to happen is going to happen, and there's nothing we can do about this. Terrifying because I knew how much money we had in the bank, and it would last us about a month, and then we'd be bankrupt and gone. And this was before the furlough scheme was brought in. So, and we sat the staff down and said, look, we're going to pay you 50% for as long as money lasts, and when it's gone, it's gone, and then we don't know what's going to happen. And then about a week later, they brought the furlough scheme in, which it did rescue the company, like it did many companies, because we were running out of money. And then we put everything on hold, suppliers and all the direct debits, which we've been dealing with for this last 2 months. And now we're in a much better position to be able to hopefully survive another lockdown. Hopefully it won't be another proper lockdown.
Yeah.
But it's been really tough. I mean, we'd have 4 months, was it 5 months, £2.5 million turnover, something like that. Hard.
That's where it kind of hits most, isn't it? Like artists, independents, but then obviously hospitality, bars, restaurants, cafes, and all that. Like those industries, like unless you've got people coming in and out the door, like where'd you make your money? Do you know what I mean? So
I think for us as an industry, I think we've been well supported so far. The furlough,
the eat out as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying during the eat out, I thought this is great financially for us, but it's just mental. We're in a pandemic, and you're telling people to socialise and go out. And and it was the last week especially where there was a bit of a almost like a fever to I got to go out. And I was like, it's too much. It's too much. And we were following all the guidelines, but it was just like it's just crazy. I mean, Liverpool was battered.
It was like it just went away for a month, wasn't it? For all of us.
Everyone kind of like,
and now hence the next spike.
Yeah. So, but I really feel sorry for theatres, musicians, nightclubs. I mean, I don't think they've had much support at all. There's a guy on the news the other night. He works at the Phantom of Opera. I think he did lighting or sound, and he said I've been doing this for 10 years. I said I'm being made redundant. It's just I'm thinking how can something like that something so successful and just stop?
It's not, isn't it?
It's affected everything. There's nothing
that hasn't been affected by
there's like there's little thing like you can talk about, like if there's like the tsunamis that happen which affect the place, there's like earthquakes. There's nothing like it's not like a natural disaster, do you know what I mean? But it's not like affects everyone in the world like it has this one, do you know what I mean? You go to anybody and go out. I would like to.
Yeah, it's something we just all. I like that though. It's something we all have in common. I think it's kind of like. It's how did you find that? Do you know what I mean? Or what was your situation? Like every guest we've had on, it's come up in some way, and it's. I remember at the start, I was on the train. Like I think I'd been sent home from work, and I seen someone I knew from school. I was like, "Oh, are you okay?" And then we were like, we got to talk about it, and we were like, it's a bit mad, isn't it? And it'd be weird not to have spoke about it, even though you don't want to be consumed.
I was saying to one of my kids the other day, I said, you know what, don't you? I know you're not thinking about it now, and he's only 14. He said, but in, I don't know, 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, maybe you'll have your own kids, and you'll say to them, and coronavirus struck, and we didn't go to school for 4 months. Your kid's going to say, no way, that can't happen to me.
No way.
So bloody lucky.
They were definitely,
And I didn't sit my exams. No exams! Oh my God!
And I got 6 A's and 4 B's, Not my sister was worried, like, proper, like, she wasn't having panic attacks, but when we'd talk about it, she'd be like, no, I don't want to speak about it, just wait. When I got a GCSE results and I rang her, I was like, how'd you get on? She's like, I can't believe I done that well, and I didn't sit an exam. It's like, oh, you have got lucky there.
But my lad, he's 16, and he didn't sit his exams, and I feel sorry for him, because he really wanted to prove himself to us, and he was at the match with my sister, sat next to her, and she was quizzing him before, I don't know, it's December time, and he said, I am going to prove myself to Mum and Dad. I'm going to show them how well, I'm going to work really hard and prove to them how well I can do.
Yeah.
And he had that taken away from him.
Didn't get the chance.
So he got good results, and he's really happy with them. But he had that taken away from him, no prom. I think leaving school is
prom as well,
Yeah, which we never had them when I was leaving school. But I think leaving school is a rite of passage, isn't it? You do your exams and you build up to it, and then you leave. It's a big thing in your life.
It is a big. It's a milestone. Definitely a milestone.
Proms are quite an American thing. I think it's something we've sort of got off them. But like, I remember mine was how long ago was it now? 8 years ago it was now. But like, And I felt so proud on it. Do you know what I mean? Like I've
an
done,
achievement. Yeah.
do you know what I mean? And like from then I went into sixth form uni, and then next thing I've been in education from 4 to you're 21. It's a long time to be in education, isn't it?
All your life, definitely.
Well, I was talking about it the other day, and I said, as a kid, you know, 2, 3, 4, you kind of forget, don't you? Your first real memories of school, and maybe on a nice holiday or something. But your first real memories of school, and as a percentage of your life, it's massive, isn't it? It's virtually all your life, and you do that till you're 16 and you leave. So, from you're 16, you've been in school for 12 years, haven't you? So it dominates your life, and time. I can remember time passing so slowly. And then I was talking to my older lad, we were talking about it, and then A levels 2 years goes very quickly because it's only 2 years, and then you're out of that, and then all of a sudden just life just spins away.
I remember having a conversation with my mate about leaving school, and we were like, I wonder if we've left school longer than we were in school. And we were like, we've been out of school longer than we were in high school, longer than we were in high school. I was like,
I definitely have.
But it's mad because we had to like check ourselves and be like, oh no, it's been a while. And then because you've got no benchmark of year 7, year 8, year 9, it just all the years blur into one.
You were saying before you always wanted to be a chef as well. What stage in your like sort of like childhood was it that you think I want to be a chef?
At primary school.
Primary,
I came home from school and I said to my mum, we made something at primary school, like fairy cakes or something, and I said, I want to be a chef, mum. And it wasn't like I was reading a Scoffy at night time or anything like that, but it was an idea that stayed with me. And I don't know, to this day, I do know. I've been asked that question so many times, and I don't know where it came from. My mum's a great chef, great cook. And she grew up, and she still does, got a big allotment at home. So it was all making breads, made her own jam. We were very poor, so it was a necessity. She couldn't afford to go buying loads of stuff. And I was one of 7 kids, so I had a really good job. But
number 7 again?
Yeah, number 7 again, yeah. So the money didn't go, it didn't spread that far. So she was always, and it was always cheap cuts of meat we'd have. So there's the big influence there. We'd always have a pudding, it would be a homemade pie or something. So I mean, that must be where it comes from, really, because there was no other influence. And all my brothers and sisters had no interest whatsoever in food at all. And I was the only lad at school. I was the only red in Manchester. So I was a Liverpool fan. Everyone else was City or United, and I was the only lad doing home economics for like an O level.
Tough gig, that. Tough gig.
Feel fan dad enough.
Yeah. Can you imagine on the bus with your wicker basket and your shepherd's pie? Can you imagine the shit?
Liverpool scarf.
Toughen me up, I tell you.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but yeah, so it kind of stuck for me through me, and I never worked in a professional kitchen, obviously. So, and my mum and dad I don't think they tried to dissuade me, but they kind of trying to make it the realities of it, and the realities were pretty grim there. Actually, it wasn't. My first 2 or 3 years were pretty crap, and I didn't enjoy it really, and I kind of got really disillusioned with it, and I thought, what am I going to do with my life? This is all I wanted to do, and I don't enjoy it. Don't really want to do it. It's a bit crap. And then I got a job abroad, and that sort of changed it for me.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that because you've been to a few. I don't want to say exotic, interesting places, haven't you?
Yeah,
Bermuda being one that sticks out for me. Like Bermuda, like whenever I hear Bermuda, I just think planes go missing. Bermuda Triangle. So
that's the old joke, yeah.
Yeah, that was when I heard that, I was like, Bermuda. Do many people even like holiday there? Is it a big holiday?
Actually, I went back last year, took the kids. We did a house swap. It's the only way I could afford it because it's so expensive, and I've got a friend, and we did a house swap. So, I was 21, living at home. I had a okay job.
Chefing?
Yeah, chefing. Okay, but not fulfilling or stimulating really. Just okay. It was great hours and great money, and that was about it. And I was trying to work out what to do in my life. And one day I got the evening news out and looking at the classified for jobs and whatever. And there was literally an advert like that, and it said nannies wanted in Bermuda, and that was in a phone number. So I thought, but I'd always wanted to travel as well. I don't know where that came from because nobody else in my family's travelled either, apart from holidays. So I gave them the call, said, I'm not a nanny, but I'm a chef and I'm looking to go to, we do chefs as well. So from that phone call, about 2 months later, I got a job in Bermuda.
Wow.
That's
came
crazy.
Came home to Mum and Dad, I'm going to Bermuda. Like, I never gave a single thought of how. I mean, now I've thought more of my kids doing that. I'd be pleased for them, but I'd be gutted. I'd be really gutted, but there you go.
And the world back then was a bigger place because, obviously, the social media now, WhatsApp, instant messaging. Back then,
I said to the kids, I said I left. Yeah. I think I had about 50 quid in my pocket. I spent it on bloody leaving dues. So 50 quid. No credit card.
Need to get this first pay.
Yeah. No credit card. No phone, obviously. I had a ticket, and I think I had a visa. And I left. My dad took me down to Heathrow, and he looked at me at one point. He said he could tell I was shitting it. Well, he said, don't worry, son. Whatever happens, you can come home. There's a home here for you. And I never really thought like that because I thought I've got to go and I've got to make a success of this. And they said you can always come home. Don't worry about it. And that really sort of set me at ease. And then I flew to JFK, missed my connection. I had to spend the night on JFK airport floor because I thought I had 50 quid. And I thought, fucking New York. I fucking love New York. I want to go to New York. I could get a taxi or a bus there, but I've only got 50 quid. And I was like, what do I do? Do I spend it by going to New York or do I stay? I thought, I can't do that. So I slept on the floor there and then got a flight next morning. And I'll never forget it. As a plane door kind of opened and I edged towards the entrance, the heat hitting you like a furnace, but the smell, it was, I'd left black and white. Stockport's a piece of shit anyway, even now. Then it was just,
no comment.
Honestly, it is. But even then it was worse. It was terrible. Pubs closed at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and opened again at 5, closed at 10:30 on a Sunday. There was nothing to do. It was rubbish. And I left that black and white, and this was multicolour, multi-sensual. It was just like the smells.
Yeah. Everything in HD.
Everything, the feel of it, the air, the light. It's just like, oh my God. It's like... So it was literally a eureka moment for me, and the kitchen was staffed with guys that all worked in Michelin star places. The head chef had been at Gavroche, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's one of the best restaurants in the world. He used to be a sous chef there. He was a magician with food, and it was just like, and I was like, this is what I want to do.
Was that great for your career then, sort of going away? Sort of build.
It was not so much my career for me personally. It was. And I mean, at the beginning, I was shit. I mean, they should have. I think the only reason they didn't sack me was because they paid about 2,000 quid for a fee to place me there. So I think that's the only reason I didn't have a clue. This one English chef took me under his wing and he said,
"Are you just saying, sorry to interrupt, through lack of ability? Do you thinking that's why?"
No, not ability, knowledge. I was fortunately, because I didn't even know at this time, I was a good chef, and I wouldn't say I was a great chef. I was a very good chef, and my strongest points were organisation and keeping a cool head. They were, technically it was okay, and I was quite creative, but I could organise and I could stuff made sense to me. You see a kitchen, you got all the checks coming up and check.
Yeah, chef.
I can read that, and I know what needs to be done. I can do the stove, and I know, and it may sound daft, but quite a few chefs can't do that, and it's hard for them. So I could do any of that. So one day he said, "Go and get me some." I think it was Lola Rosso or Radicchio or lettuce. Yeah. And I went down 4 or 5 times, and he said, "You don't know what you're looking for, do you?" I said, "I ain't got a fucking clue." Asked me to get some iceberg. I'm your man. The only that's seen is iceberg. I said, "I'm your man if you want iceberg, but anything else, you have to describe it to me." So that's how lacking my knowledge was. So working there, it was just completely different to anything I'd ever seen.
Straight at the deep end, yeah.
Yeah, so that started me off, and it gave me a taste for me. I was 21. I lived in this beautiful island. I lived on the golf course. The beach was 2 minutes away.
Life of luxury.
All Europe, yeah. No, not at all. I lived in this crappy little. It was a crappy little 1-bedroom, like shepherd's hut almost. Best way of describing it. But it didn't matter. I didn't care. It was just the lifestyle.
The lifestyle, yeah.
And my mates used to say, "Oh, your job, it's so unsocial, it's this, that." I'm like, lads, honestly, it's the most social job you will ever have. We're finishing work at 11 o'clock, going out, beach parties, nightclubs, to 4, 5, 6 in the morning. And at that time, nightclubs closed at 2 o'clock in the UK.
Yeah.
You couldn't stay out anywhere, but here it was just like, oh my God, we keep on drinking until 5, 6 in the morning. Girls, and it was just brilliant. It was just fabulous.
Good party life then, yeah.
Yeah, and New York was like an hour away, 2 hours away, so go to New York, Florida, it's just like brilliant.
It's the life. How long was you there for?
Just did a year there, and then I went to Switzerland after that, which is great as well. I love Switzerland. If I could live anywhere, it'd be Switzerland.
Yeah?
Yeah, Zurich was just so beautiful.
I've heard great things about Switzerland. Like, it's
everything
a beautiful
works.
country,
Do you know one fact I learned yesterday about Switzerland? Do you know, like in Asia, there's like a big thing around eating dog, and dog's like a cuisine they eat. Apparently in Switzerland, they eat dog as well. It was on QI last night, and I had to Google it, it's a thing, yeah. And not just little chocolate dogs either.
Not my hotel.
I literally found it out last night. It was like, surely not. Google it. I was like, oh, apparently it is. Like in the mountains and stuff, yeah.
Everyone said, "Oh, it's so boring." But the old town, you'd walk down and they have these little bars, so you'd stop and get a sausage and a beer, just on this little kiosk sort of thing.
Yeah.
And again in the UK, nothing like. I mean, there's a few more places like that now, but nothing like that. Yeah. You want to go skiing? Mountains are there, an hour away.
So when was this?
Italy.
Like what?
That was 92, 93.
So when did this kind of, the way the UK is now, where there's just, you spoil for choice after you don't know what restaurant to go to, like you were saying earlier, there's only pubs. When did you kind of notice, being in the industry, the boom of diversification?
I came back in 2000, so I spent the best part of I left in 89.
A decade away.
So a decade away. So something happened when I was turned my back.
Yeah.
So I think I came back and it was changing then. There were Pierre Victoire and places like that where we were opening up, and it was a lot better then. So I guess it was when I left, it was starting to change. And it was getting better, and that decade was really sort of. I can remember Latasca coming back from I don't know where it was, and Latasca had opened up on Deansgate in Manchester, first one, and that was like, oh my god, Spanish tapas bar, and it was like, and I used to love going there. It's brilliant. So
it's mad that because now tapas is just a staple of the UK food industry, isn't it? Oh, we'll go for
and in
tapas.
some ways it's very attractive because you can walk down the high street and Thai, Italian, Spanish, Chinese, whatever it may be. And then if you go somewhere regional in France, it is like you are eating duck leg for the next week, and that is it, because this is our speciality, and you are eating our speciality. So in some ways, it's we are magpies, aren't we? And we're picking off the best of the world cuisine. And you go to other countries, and it's again like Venice. You go to Venice, it's all ciocchetti bars. You don't and I love that. There's no fast food at all. It's all Italian, but it's a different way.
It's a reflection of the culture, isn't it? Like how diverse is, especially Liverpool as a city. Like there's like you go down Bold Street and you're like, oh yeah, this is how many different types of people live in Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? Where you've got like kind of, don't even know, you can get like Moroccan, like Bengalese food. Just all sorts of like crazy food in my opinion. Like when I was growing up, I think the most obscure food we'd ever had was like an Indian, do you know what I mean, or a Chinese.
Had chicken to the cod.
like something spicy for us was like a curry, like a chippy curry. Do you know what I mean? And then I remember Bold Street used to just be shops, didn't it? At one point, that was like where we go shopping, and now you do well to find a clothes shop on Bold Street. Yeah, it's so diverse. Yeah,
I think I have to take like sort of casual dining and like sort of the dining experience is coming a lot bigger now, isn't it? Really, and like people are happy to spend big money and go out and get a nice food. It's not even for occasions anymore. It's just like
it's just a Friday.
Can't be bothered cooking anymore. I want to have a nice.
It's lifestyle. Food. Like shopping is a lifestyle. I hate shopping, as my wife will confirm. But going shopping is a thing. I mean,
I've never been into that.
No, doesn't do it for me. But my wife loves going shopping, and I walk into John Lewis with my wife, and I can feel the tiredness envelop me. I'm thinking, oh my god,
the stress.
Got 5 floors to get through.
Got 3 hours left.
Even talk about it now, I think, oh god. But she loves it. Yeah. So I try my best to enjoy it for her, and for me not to be a miserable sod. But I find it very hard. I can't remember. My daughter's 11, so I can't wait till she's a bit older. And I have to say to her, off you go on, just
Here's
go
20
shopping.
quid. See you later.
20 quid. You missed a note off there.
I had a taxi driver the other day just on that 20 quid, and he said he was talking about like money, and he was like, when I was a kid, lad, he was like, I used to get like a $5 or whatever, and he said I had a woman in the car with a daughter, and she was like, he was like, can you believe this? A daughter said to her, it's only 50 quid, mum. And her mum was like, I wouldn't mind that, but I'm a cleaning, and she thinks 50 quid just comes out of thin air. And then it made me, I've got a little brother and sister who were like 16, 17. I was like, I think it's a generational thing of kids just thinking like, I'm not thinking money grows on trees, but when I was a kid, like going out for food, 20 quid on to town would get you like out all day, you get a Mackey's. Now like my little brother and sister going to Nando's, do you know what I mean? Going up Bold Street, and I'm like, whoa, it's obviously...
My kids are like that. My eldest one's working now, so he's self-sufficient. My 16-year-old, yesterday, he wanted 40 quid to go to Nando's in the cinema.
Yeah.
Right.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Do you think?
Where do you think it comes from? Yeah.
When I was a kid, I didn't ask my mum and dad for money because I knew there was no money anyway. So it was pointless asking. So and I got my spends, 10p a week, whatever it was, and there wasn't an argument to be had because there was no money and it wasn't something you did. But now my kids are my 16-year-old, my 2 younger ones, don't really ask. So, but he's like, I want to go, and he's got a job now. So I'm like, no, you've got to learn that if you want something, you got to earn it. And I think that lesson of learning the value of work and money is really important. Yeah, he's not learned it yet.
Definitely, yet.
You will do.
Yeah. I learned that early doors when I had my phone contract. My mum and dad paid for it. Obviously, they wanted me to have a phone to go to school. Just as my contract was up for renewal, I got my first part-time job. My mum was like, "Oh, you can pay for your phone. It's 20 quid a month." Probably earning 200 quid. I was like, "What? I've got to pay for my own phone?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Whoa!" And I just 10% of my wage. I was thinking, "Oh my god!" But it if you want something, that's life, isn't it? You can pay for something if you want it.
As soon as you got a job, you're like, oh, you got money now?
Yeah.
You have to start paying.
Where'd you keep?
It's like trainers and trackies. It's just like they said, oh, these trainers are 200 quid. I'm like,
Better get another shift.
I'll get you some sketches.
It is crazy. It is crazy. Especially, I think what it is with kids as well, my little brother and sister, I've noticed like the people they follow on social media.
It's a lot more materialistic.
It's a lot of, they see it more and they're like, oh, I want this. And I'm like,
that's what
would you want that if you didn't see it?
That's what I said to you before. They think money buys you shit that makes you happy, but shit is just shit.
Yeah.
It's just worthless.
I think I've learned that like when I was a bit younger, I wanted the best things. Like I wanted the best trackies, and then I wanted the best shoes. I wanted the best coats. Now I don't care. Now I've got to buy them myself. I don't care.
My New Year's resolution this year was I wasn't going to buy a single item of clothing.
And have you?
For the year.
I've had to buy a pair of jeans because one got wrecked. Yeah. So
for necessity, it's different, isn't it? But.
So I was a bit gutted about that, but then I said gifts don't. I'm not including gifts in that. So you can buy me like a polo. So, but so far, yeah. I mean, last year I hardly brought anything, but I wear jeans, shirts, and jumpers to work. I don't wear anything else really. So I thought, can I go a year without buying anything? So got too much crap.
Do you know Yusuf, the DJ? Do you know Yusuf? He's a DJ in Liverpool. He holds an event and stuff. He's been going for years, since like the 90s, and I remember he done a challenge where he went a whole month and he didn't buy anything for himself, not one thing. So he planned all his meals, he had everything planned, and he went a month without paying for anything, like himself, other than like necessities like travel and stuff.
I don't spend much money.
Yeah, do you not know?
I used to be just petrol, but I got an electric car last year, so I don't buy petrol anymore. So
is it fully electric? Yeah.
Yeah, Tesla.
The great Teslas in my old job I drove on. Yeah. They are great.
Free. Yeah, cheaper one. I couldn't afford it.
Is there a lot of charging points, or do you just wait till you go home?
I've got one at Hanover Street, so I charge there, and it I'll probably get 3 or 4 journeys out of it. I never really tried.
It's all right, don't
you? So that works really well. So I love it.
Have you ever been driving and like it just
goes stuck? Yeah.
No, I said to the guy when I picked it up, I said, "What happens if you run out of battery completely and everything shuts down?" I said, "Well, don't get to that point." Stop at 3%. Believe me.
Yeah.
So no, he said because it's dead, you can't do anything. So, I don't know what you do actually. You perhaps get a mobile charger or something.
Yeah.
That's like my dad just bought a new car. Yeah, he got it yesterday, and he said he was torn between two. And the fella said to him, he was like, "Do you want to know which one I'd tell you to go with? Go with this one." He was like, because it was between like a BM, like a 3 Series, and some sort of Jag.
And it costs more, and I get more commission.
Yeah. No, he said he was like, "I want you to take this one, even though it's cheaper." He was like, "I can stand on this one because so much would go wrong with that because it was all like touchscreen, everything come out of the dash, all electric." And he was like, after 3 months, I can't. That's a computer. He was like, that's a car. So the difference, he said, I can't tell you what's going to go wrong with that, but I'll tell you what you can fix with that. And the gearing towards like the software and kind of away from mechanics into computers. The Tesla, you get in and the big screen and it's got its own Spotify and like, whoa, this is the future.
Every so often it updates itself. You need to update like a phone. So
it's great. It's the future though.
Should we go to Instagram anyway? Do you want me to?
Yeah. Before we do that though, I'd like to touch on Russia because that's very interesting. Yeah. So after Switzerland, did you go to Russia?
No, I went back to Bermuda. I wrecked my cruise ships when I was younger. When I was just before I went to Switzerland, I wrecked my cruise ships badly.
Is that why you never played for Liverpool?
Yeah, I like to think so. that and a lack of talent. So they went again in Switzerland, that operation. So I couldn't work for about 3 or 4 months, and it was a mistake going back, but I don't regret it. But it was a mistake. I shouldn't have gone back. I should have gone somewhere else and done something. But my old boss offered me a job there, and I was a bit soft really because I thought I didn't have a job. I was leaving Switzerland because you fixed contract there. I had to leave. I couldn't stay, and I didn't have anything in the pipeline at all. And really, I should have gone maybe Australia or somewhere else, the Far East. And he called me up and said, "I've got a job for you." And I thought, I'll take it for now because it's a stopgap, and it'll give me a bit of security. So I did that. I ended up staying for 3 years, which was too long, and I stagnated there. But the lifestyle was so seductive. It was beach sailing, parties. It was great, and a lot of it I loved it. And there was a great big crew of us, and we were really good friends, and we all kind of like stayed in our jobs for quite a while. And my girlfriend was my wife now. So it was. Did
you meet her there?
No, I met her. She actually went to the same high school as me, and she's amazing. She before we met, she's a year older than me. She went to probably getting the wrong order. She went to live in a kibbutz, then she went to Paris.
Yeah,
lived in Paris for a couple of years, and then she worked in New York in the Bronx. So she was kick-ass, I tell you. So, I was still living in Stockport when she was doing all this. And I fancied her from afar.
She was in the Bronx in the 90s, 80s. Yeah. Tough gig. Yeah. What was she doing?
I finished south and the north, and she was in the good part. But she worked as in New York. She worked for a cousin as a nanny. So
that's cool.
So she was doing all that, and I was in fucking Stockport. So
and then you seen the job for a nanny and thought, I can do that.
But she was. So I went to live in Bermuda. So she'd have been in New York when I was in Bermuda.
Oh, so we were together at the time?
No, we weren't. No. So but we kind of like see each other. And actually, before, where was she been? She'd have been because before I went to Bermuda, she was at home. And one day we were all in a pub in a beer garden, and I'd fancied her for years and years, and I'd never spoke to her once or twice. Typical idiot, really. And someone said we're all sat in a beer garden, and someone shouted, "Oh, Paddy's going to New York, to Bermuda in a few weeks' time. Lucky bastard." And she said, "Oh, I'll come with you. I'll hide in your suitcase." And I was like.
Like pussy in your hands.
I was like, couldn't even speak to her. So anyway, I never saw her again for another year or so. I went to Bermuda, and I think she went to New York after that. And then we were in a pub one night. She came to the pub one night. We got chatting, and we started dating. So she was with me in Switzerland, and then she came to Bermuda as well. So she was working as a nanny in Bermuda.
That's great.
So we were living together. We had a nice little house and great lifestyle. But I knew I had to leave, and then I started looking for jobs. And I was offered one in the Middle East and one in Moscow. And the Moscow one was a job. The money was amazing, but it was also. It's fucking Moscow. Yeah. And for my generation, it's
the
Iron
mob,
Curtain. You would never go there, And this was 95, so the wall had only been down 89, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Communism fell in 92, so it was only three years after communism fell. So I thought, I might never get a chance to go to Moscow again or Russia, because the communists might get back in power. The wall might go back up, and I'll never get a chance again. So I thought, I've got to do this. But it was a single posting, so she couldn't come with me.
Oh, really?
So I was like, but once this Pandora's box, once it's out there, it's out there. And she said,
have to go on,
and she said, you can't go. I said, I've got to go. So what about us? I said, well, what will be really. But if you force me not to go, then I can tell you now, this is finished. So it was tough.
Yeah.
It was really tough.
So you got to be selfish. They're not selfish, but you got to at the same time, I'm not going to.
That's 20.
You might not get the opportunity again to
27. How are you?
24.
So
I had a similar situation, and my dad said to me, "What will be a bigger what if?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He went, "Imagine you're my age. What would be a bigger what if?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then that was like, "Whoa!" And that's obviously a bigger what if would be. Yeah. Imagine Russia was like North Korea now, where you can never go. Do you know what I mean? You've been.
Yeah, it wasn't quite like that, but I mean, when I got there, it was fucking hell. What am I doing? Yeah. The hotel was huge. I mean, I'd never been. It was like 500 bedrooms. It was enormous, and I remember it was night time. I think it was a Sunday night, and I pulled up. And I'm like, oh my God. I mean, I was just...
No English signs anywhere?
No, nothing like that. It was very, very, very Russian. But I absolutely loved it. It was the best decision I've ever made in my life going there. It was just fantastic.
People don't realise how beautiful Russia is. I have my two aunties, like two sisters. One of them's dad now, but before they went away, they used to go cruises everywhere. The best cruise they ever went was round. They went to St. Petersburg, Moscow.
St. Petersburg is beautiful, yeah.
And they said they were surprised with how beautiful and
a lot of Moscow is brutal. So Soviet architecture is brutal, but there's a lot of beauty there as well. I ended up I was there for a year on my own, and I ended up getting an apartment, and it overlooked. If you ever Google Novodevichy Monastery, it was something like out of a fairy tale. It is just, I think, 16th century sort of monastery, and behind that was one of the, I think they call them Seven Sisters, which are like Stalinist skyscrapers, but something about Batman. So I had this view of this just breathtaking view. And
can you Google on that telly, Jacob?
Yeah, no, but
because the way you've sold it to me there
was
Novodevichy. No, don't ask me to spell it. Novodevichy.
Was it like, is Russia back then sort of, to stick with the stereotypes, there's a lot of vodka?
I wasn't a vodka drinker before I went, and I could drink under the table even now, probably drinking vodka. So you had to, one of the first, I've been there a few, you had to get the trust of them, because they were very distrustful of Europeans. And they thought everyone was there for the women and the booze and the money, which was about right. quite astute judges of character. So you had to get the trust. So one I've been there for 3 or 4 months, and I was kind of learning. I mean,
Google Seven Sisters. Go on. So you've been there for a few months, sorry.
So so I was kind of gaining the trust, and I was a good chef, and two of my biggest lessons were there, really. And so they said, chef, we go for a chef's party. I said, oh, okay, great. I'm learning the trust, so brilliant. So, okay, where do we meet? So they named a metro station. I can't remember. We're near the Kremlin. So we go Kremlin. So, okay, great. We'll do something. We get there, go to a bar or something. So we meet up, and it's November. It's freezing cold. It's minus whatever 10. So we meet up near the Kremlin. It's beautiful, and the Kremlin is beautiful, and St. Basil's, it is amazing. There's a park going around it in a little river. So we meet there. And I'm like, great, nice to see you guys. What do we do now? He said, now, chef, we drink. Yeah, but where? Here, chef. We stay here, we drink vodka, and we eat chocolate. And we just spent 2 hours just drinking neat vodka and eating chocolate. Yeah, absolutely.
First 2 hours of your life.
That was a chef's party. That was their idea of a party. Just getting bladdered in a park.
I like that, though, because it's very simple, isn't it? It's not like, oh, we're going to go here. We're going to stand on the street corner, drink a cheap vodka.
Yeah.
Is your view similar to that, Paddy, was it?
So that's, my apartment overlooked that.
Oh, wow.
I mean, can you imagine in winter time when it's snowing?
Yeah. Lake all iced over.
I've seen
and
something
that.
similar in Russia where it's like, is it in Moscow where it's a multicoloured like cathedral? Do you know?
That's St. Basil's. That
is that St. Basil's?
Yeah.
On like
so
the
when you show the
bridge,
Kremlin on the news, you see the onion domes, and everyone
Yeah.
thinks that's Kremlin. That's St. Basil's Cathedral, which if you go inside, it's really pokey and small and beautiful. So
Boss.
so that's where I lived. So yeah, that was chefs. But I mean, it was like, it links into my album choice a little bit. It was like being on a film set at times. It was. I mean, I remember one night walking across Red Square about 2 a.m, going to a party, and just walking. It was quiet. There's no one around, and it was snowing, and it could have been 300 years ago. And it was just like, I felt I'm just some northernoid from Stockport. And this is so fucking cool. And I went to this party, and it overlooked. I actually saw the apartments recently on the TV. They were doing some news report from there, and the apartment was overlooking the other side of the Kremlin. And there's some Russian band playing. It was a big party, and I was there with some friends. And I just stepped outside, and I'd be in a fag on the balcony, and the Kremlin's just all there. And it's just one of those moments in life you think,
wow, made it, yeah. I've made it.
Have I ended up here?
Yeah.
So how does that link into your album choice then?
Well,
Because there was no iPods back then, so like, you've got a soundtrack now to your scene, like then.
Yeah.
So, 4 albums I really agonised over. Two I've discounted because they weren't that influential, but I love Radiohead. So
Yeah.
the 2 albums were really, I can't, even now I can't decide, was the Bends and OK Computer. But the Bends I played quite a lot when I was first there, and it kind of links into my time in life there where it felt like before Bermuda, Switzerland, I was having a laugh and it was a joke, but so Moscow, things became kind of like, not serious, because I've never been that serious, but it was I kind of felt like this is kind of like where my life's taken me and what I want to do, and I could
you're on
see
your path
I
type
could see a
thing.
career at that point, whereas before it was just
It's
like
just
go from
partying
job to job
and
and partying
yeah.
and all the rest of it. But now I can think, well, I can do this, and I was senior sous chef. It's a 500-bedroom hotel. We did $27 million a year in food.
Wow.
It was huge. It was huge. That was partly because there wasn't much in the way of Western hotels at that time. We were one of 4 or 5, so it was all concentrated on that kind of. And there's a lot of dirty money going through it as well. So not through the hotel, but a lot of
Mob money.
mob money, spending money. So it kind of like it links into that point where I was confident to say, I'm good at this, and I know I can make a career of this and take it forward and become something else along the line. And it was just they were the 2 albums that I played a lot in my bedroom as I was getting up for work or going out, and it was at times it was like being on a film set in Moscow for whatever reason. It was kind of almost looking at yourself, or almost hard to describe.
It was quite surreal at the time to be in that
was,
place. Like,
it was
whoa.
so different, yeah. And my wife, she came over. Well, I proposed to her, and she came. We got married, and she came to live with me. And her mum and dad wouldn't come and visit me. They were, I don't think they were scared, but they didn't want to come. But my mum and dad did, and really glad they did. We had a right laugh when they came over. One of my friends worked for Diversity Lever, and he had a Russian counterpart. Me and my mum and dad and my wife got invited to her house for Sunday lunch, And it
Yeah.
just descended into vodka fest, really. My mum does not drink vodka, and she was on the chili vodka, and it's like big rosy glow, and it was again memorable. So there were so many memorable moments in the 3 years I was there. It's just fabulous.
That's great. That's fantastic.
So sorry to make you pick Paddy, but what is your album of the week?
God. I was listening to both. You know what this made me do is listen to the albums. My other two albums were Portishead Dummy, because I think they're just amazing, and Rhodes is one of the best tunes ever, and Prefab Sprout, Steve McQueen, which Paddy McClune is such a lyricist. He's just amazing, but I discounted them. So the band is so. I had a conversation in Moscow with a guy who was doing some filming once, and he said, we were debating him, he said, I love OK Computer, but it's too polished for me, and the Benz it's more raw and more real. So I think I'll go with his I think the Benz
I can see your cogs there, this is a tough choice,
I think the Benz is more relevant to that point, and I love OK Computer, and I still do now, and I love Radiohead. And I said to you the other day, I was listening to Tom York on Desert Island Disc, and listening. It's funny, he was talking about, he described it as a white knuckle ride, the early years, up to the end of OK Computer. And he admits, I said, I was a dickhead, I was horrible, I was a wanker, and it was my way, the highway. And I kind of admire that in some ways, because he is so talented, and he drove the whole project. But to see yourself and to recognise that you're a knobhead as well is quite.
Yeah, I'm still
a lot of people
still waiting for him to.
I imagine a lot of artists in the bands like that. It's like they are sort of getting spearheaded by one person, and
being a knobhead though, sometimes it is. That's what makes them good, isn't it?
I think the Radiohead as well, and that's what kind of guided my choice, is that they're still making. I think they're still making great music now.
Yeah, still relevant. Definitely.
Yeah, a lot of bands they have their moment, don't they?
And they make the albums with just a bit of something to tour in it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
they do a tour and play 2 new songs and play all the old albums.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And then
I think it's like that with Radiohead at all.
And it goes to shit, but it's, the best people keep on producing really good stuff, don't they? So, but they're few and far between, I think. So it's
all. I think
Red Hot Chili Peppers are one of those bands. Since they've started to now, their music I think is still good.
Yeah,
and I think they're still even live. They're still. Not that I've seen them back in the day, but they were just mates from school, and they've kind of kept it together. Do you know what I mean? And
I always think of Arctic Monkeys. I think about them now. They're mega successful, and they've got great lives and all the rest of it. But I think them as particular. So when they were, what was their album called? I can't remember what it's called now. The first
which one?
album.
The first?
The first one.
with the house.
Nightmare?
Yeah.
Or whatever people say I am, that's what I am.
I think before they were famous, that must have been such a great time in their lives.
Yeah.
They were talented, weren't they? They must have known. They
Just
had
mates.
Well,
before
they
were famous, that push, didn't they? And they were touring and having a laugh, and it must have been such.
Well, they found themselves they hadn't even released a song, and they were going to places playing in Sheffield and around Yorkshire and playing in small venues, and everyone was singing the songs, and they hadn't even released them, and they were like.
They're clever on the marketing, weren't they?
He's a genius, Alex Turner.
Yeah, he
absolute
is.
Genius.
Yeah. But what did you think on Kids See Ghost? That was this guy's choice, by the way.
You know what? I first listened to it. When I first listened to it, I didn't do it justice. I listened to 10-second, 20-second snippets, and I thought, oh my god. Oh, well. But I've listened.
He said to me, "Good job, it's only 23 minutes."
It was only 7 songs, wasn't it? So
I've been labelled a hip hop hater on the podcast, and you know what? I am.
But I grew up. My mum always played classical music and opera at home. And have you ever heard of Rodriguez's guitar concerto? What a piece of music! I loved it, and I got that from my mum. She played it all the time. And my brothers went to Motown, Northern Soul, and then one of my older brothers, he got into the jam. So when I was younger, it was all sort of soaking in. So I've got varied.
It's a good way to be, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
And I remember as a kid, the message Grandmaster Flash. Yeah, if you could recite that on the school bus, you were.
But you wake up asking your shepherd's pie.
Yeah, it really worked. I mean, I can still sing it now.
Yeah. Go on, go.
Jacob, give us a beat.
My brother's doing fast, and my mother's TV says, watch it too much, it's just not healthy. All the children in the daytime, Dallas at night, can't even see the game with the Sugar Ray fight. The bill collectors, they ring my phone, scare my kids when I'm not home. Got a bum education, double inflation. Gotta take the train to the job, there's a strike at the station.
Yeah,
it's better than I can do anyway.
I couldn't do that at school.
Paddy, I weren't expecting that, but you done it well.
So anyway, back to the album. So, but it's like, but then I listened to it again and again and again, and there's bits, I can't remember which song it was, where they got the blues start to it. And I thought, that's really cool.
What one was it? It's like the second or third track.
I think it's like the third.
Do you know what I love? I can still feel the love. When you feel,
and I listened to it again and again and again. I thought, actually, I don't like it all as and I don't think I'd listen to it, and I definitely wouldn't listen to it before going to bed.
No, I would be seeing a ghost, definitely.
But then I thought that there's bits of it that are really, really good.
It's very well produced.
The production,
I think
on
that's
it.
what we can do.
Masterpiece.
Yeah.
Sonically. You know,
Can't-
have you heard one where it's called Free and it's got all
Yeah.
the harmonies?
Oh, it's great.
Oh.
It's layered,
Yeah.
like, it is
Yeah.
layered.
It's like it's all. I think with Kanye West stuff, like I'm not really a big
and Kid
hip-hop
Cudi as
fan.
well. And Kid Cudi.
I'm not really a big hip hop fan. I'm more
I hate
your
it.
style, my style of stuff, guitar band sort of stuff. But for me, I just thought it's not really my cup, but it's I can't deny the
It's
way it's
good
produced.
music. Yeah.
It's spot on, and it's not terrible music. You can't say this is
No.
badly produced. It's not
No, it's
badly
no.
made. It's just
not
like
for
my
you.
cup of tea. Do you know
That's
what
what
I
I
mean?
love about music, though. Is like,
It's subjective in a
yeah,
way.
whenever someone says shit, that I'm like, it's not. You just don't like it. Do you know what I mean?
So my brother's into rock and roll, sort of 50s rock and roll,
Yeah.
old school and Delta blues. He loves the blues, and so I've listened to quite a lot of that with him over the years, and there's a lot of that in that album.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, Kanye West. So there's Kanye West, Kid Cudi. Kanye West. Some of the samples, I now hear songs from like the 40s, 50s, and I'm like, oh, that's
He's
where he
good
got
with
it
that.
from.
He is
good
good
with
with
Yeah,
that.
I'm like,
Kanye
oh,
West.
that's so is Dr. Dre. So
He's
I'm
great
like,
with his
oh,
samples.
that's where they've got that from. It's
I
crazy.
think the album was his 8th album. I think I counted the other day his 8th.
Kanye's.
His 8th. He's got after that. He's got 2 more after that. I think. Or has he got no? Has he got 2? One more after that, Jacob.
One more after,
What?
after that.
2 after that will be his 8th.
Did Ye come out at the same
Yeah,
time?
come
Same
after the.
time, yeah.
And then there was Jesus.
Yeah. So that was his 8th. It was his 8th album. Like, and 10 albums is
But
quite a
that
lot
must be
for
the
him.
hardest thing as a musician, writing an original piece of music, because there's so much good music out there, and you
Yeah.
get a beat, don't you? Think, someone else did that.
But being the level Kanye West is, where like every release he has is like scrutinized. There's like
Yeah.
there's like a
The
big
creative
there's a-
juices, they
there's-
dry up, mate.
There's a
They
big there's a
do.
big push towards it. It's like if he's releasing a new album, the world's listening. It's not just like this is like a selective few. Do you know what I mean? It's like
Well, second album
Yeah.
syndrome's a thing, innit?
It's like Arctic Monkeys. They were writing that album. They were writing about their life in Yorkshire, weren't they? And it's like when the sun goes down. It's their life, and
yeah.
and then once you've written about that, what do you write about next? And
Yeah.
that's where the real creative geniuses come
You've
out.
got to
and-
go with the times as well. Like I've watched the podcast, similar thing. A few comedians, and they were saying like if you listen to a comedian who's talking about hotels and airplane food, you're thinking. I think it was Joe Rogan actually, and he's saying your life is boring. All you do is tour and do comedy. Like you've got to be like varied in life to be able to make jokes about certain things, because otherwise your material dries up. Same with
to be
music.
fair,
isn't
one
it?
of my favourite Arctic Monkeys songs is not actually written by Arctic Monkeys. It's a John Cooper Clarke poem. John Cooper
yeah,
Clarke.
yeah.
It's Why I Want to Be Yours and I Am.
Yeah.
I think it's the last track. It's so good, and it's not even
What a
it's not even
genius
their
John
lyrics.
Cooper
It's like
Clarke
it's a
is.
poem. Like I think he released it as a song, John Cooper Clarke himself, but. It's
He's
just
an interesting guy,
Oh,
isn't he?
he's so talented. Though.
Yeah.
He's so if you listen to his poems, are like humorous and like they've
But they got a message as well.
They
Yeah,
got,
it's
they
good.
took- they got a message.
have you seen the I think it's on Netflix, the Defiant ones.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
these little
Fucking
lads.
hell.
Something
What
like
a
It's got
what a
everything
program.
in it.
Oh, honestly,
Yeah.
even if you don't like it's Dr. Dre and Andy, even if you don't like rap, watch it, because it is just.
It shows their paths, who they've all worked with, their
It's
story.
just,
then they
I mean,
meet.
I've watched it twice. The second time was even better.
Yeah.
Because you missed
Same,
stuff,
yeah.
and I was like watching and think, no fucking way.
Oh my god, there's no fucking way. I was the same,
It's like,
Paddy.
oh my
was
god, I
the
never
same.
knew that. I mean,
I
it's
need to
got
give it a watch.
Springsteen and it's got everyone.
You will love it. You
Yeah.
will love it, mate.
I would have Springsteen in it anyway.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, should we go to the Instagram anyway? So the top of the week was unpopular opinions. Paddy, do you have any unpopular opinions, or do you want me to name a few and you can sort of?
You go first, and then.
Oh, we will, because you know what, like I said on the first thing I asked when we put it up on the Instagram today, I was like, you know what, I've noticed through life, like bounties. I think bounties are the best in a celebration too.
Right, that I don't
I
agree
honestly
with that
think-
statement. They're not grim. The way
I think
everyone
they're
goes,
best.
bounties, but they're not
I
the
think
best.
I'm looking at the camera.
You don't
Bounties
open,
are the best.
He's trying to say you open a tin of celebrations and go bounty.
I will pick the
Doesn't
bounty.
happen.
I will pick a
Doesn't
bounty
happen.
up first.
Yeah, Malteser or Galaxy.
Yeah, man.
Galaxy Caramel,
I'll say
Milky
all
Way.
the for you next time.
That's not.
That's probably
it's
me.
not.
That's honest to God, that's my favourite. That's my unpopular
Have you ever
opinion.
bought a bounty off the shelf?
Yes, all the time. Even the dark
You're the
ones.
only customer.
The red bounties are so nice.
What do you think?
I quite like a bounty.
Yes.
I like a bounty, but it's not the best in a
Oh, it is,
But
celebration.
you
It
can't
is
be
for
a
me.
caramel.
Thank you.
The next unpopular opinion is most personal trainers know nothing about nutrition.
He was on the podcast a few weeks ago.
Who?
The one who said that. Yeah.
I wouldn't know. I mean, I've had one personal trainer in my life, and I said to wreck my leg, and I went to Ethiopia on a trek, and I said to him, I said, look, I said, just sort me out for me. I'm not bothered about weights or anything like that. I don't want to. Just sort my leg out. He said, I can't do that, mate. I've got everything's interconnected. I've got to do everything. Got to work on your core and this, that, and the other. I'm like, no, mate, just a leg. He said, can't do it. He never mentioned nutrition once.
Yeah.
So, but I'm a big believer in balancing everything you do. Yeah. And if you're eating shite, then you can't be. I mean, we did
shy food.
We did a meal for a football team a few years ago, and quite a well-known football team. I can't believe what some of the players drank and what time they drank to. I was like,
yeah,
really? Still? This day and age?
You're an athlete.
I was absolutely gobsmacked.
Mad. You're not going to name names?
No.
Stockport Town. The next one is Beyonce is overrated.
She is.
She has got some good songs.
She's overrated though.
To be honest with you, people's opinions of Beyonce I don't really care about. So next one. Gin is grim and it's the new hipster drink. It was only about 5 years ago. Rum was in.
I saw a dude making gin on some lockdown thing on the TV yesterday, and he had this massive white plastic drum of alcohol, vodka, whatever, and he was pouring it into this cell, and I thought, that doesn't look good, that.
I've made my own gin. Which you get like a box set of juniper berries and you put vodka and you let it brew, like it filters through the berries, and then it took like a month. What
would you say the most sort of popular drink used like sort of sell is like with drink? Would you say like with a meal?
Popular for sales, it's beer and wine, but I mean, gin and tonic just went mental a few years ago.
Boom, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we even now we've got so many gins, and we let our managers, if they see, we use quite a few local companies, and if they get approached to sell whatever, I mean, we were stocking Liverpool gin early, they can do that, but I think vodka gin, it's all staples.
I'd say you've noticed, obviously, with yourself, there's been a big sort of hype in gin, would you say?
Yeah.
There is, definitely.
The big balloons and loads of ice and the berries and this, that, and the other.
It is tasty, though. I do love it, though. I do love it.
Definitely.
The next one is Nutella is disgusting, and just to let you know, a bit of background information.
It's full of plastic,
Nutella is full of plastic, and not to touch it. It's one sort of, what's the thing?
Jacob's gutted there.
Yeah, it's got like,
I love Nutella as well, but apparently it's got like, do you know margarine is like one chemical away from a plastic? I think Nutella's the same.
Nutella's similar. I think it's a lot of time with Nutella it comes from the packaging. I don't think it's actually the actual product, but when it's like, obviously, like when it's like, it's German, is it Nutella?
No, yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Nutella.
Yeah, it does.
Nutella. I just come out wrong then. I think it's like it's very close to being plastic, but I don't personally. It's all right.
Worth it.
No, not for me.
Yeah,
the US office is better than the UK office.
Get skipped to the next one because that's wrong. See to the office.
Unpopular opinion, you mean? I think they're both crap.
Wow.
What's your telly? What would your telly then, Paddy? What would be your go-to show?
Hell's Kitchen.
No, I stopped watching cookery programs years ago. They're just chefs, celebrity chefs do me fucking.
Do you know what I love? Hairy Bikers and Sunday Brunch, but for the concept of it, the travel.
I like $1 Million Menu. Have you seen that?
No, can't be asked.
It's quite good. That Pilgrim were on there.
Were they? Oh yeah, I saw
what's it called? What's on the Baltic? Wholesome Junkies, is it? So the vegan fast food.
Kind of. I mean, Jamie Oliver. Fuck you know. I'm sure he's lovely in real life.
Have you seen what his kids are called?
Oh, you
right. Off topic, but I want to search this now. So, for the viewers, if you don't know what Jamie Oliver's kids are called, I'm going to name you them now. So,
why are you googling that? I just want to ask.
Teddy bear or something.
Literally.
So
you say you don't cook anymore. You don't chef, but you design your menus. Do you? I take it.
Not really. The chefs will work on them. We'll discuss. We change the menu sort of 3-4 times a year in the restaurants. We'll discuss dishes that we want to change or update or improve. After, as we went into lockdown, the lasagna Recaro, for instance, is dead popular.
Yeah.
Unpopular opinion in our place. Me and my business partner said, I'm not happy with it. It's not good enough. And it was like, what do you mean? It's great. It's great. I said, no, go back and work on it and make it better. so they actually did, and they made it better. So the chefs, they've got to take 99% of the credit because they do all the hard work. And Jonathan and myself, we will guide them. And today was a great example of chefs. So in Salthouse, we put a dish up, a pork dish, which was brilliant. And we're like, okay, what's going to replace the beef dish? Well, that's not going to work, is it? Because you can't, you want to replace a beef dish with a beef dish.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just end up with 5 pork dishes. And I know the Spanish love pork, but you want that balance on the menu. So we guide him on the balance and the structure of the menu. and also we'll tell them if it's not good enough, and quite often it's not good enough, and the hardest thing to hear is, sorry, that's not good enough.
Yeah.
And you're like, why? I put my heart and soul into that. Why is it not good enough? And then you got to tell them, and you got to use sometimes an analogy. Yesterday, the chef put up a pasta dish, and he'd done a great dish the week before. So I said, the problem with that dish, mate. He said, what's that? I said, well, think yourself your dad. You got a little lad. He's about to choose his football team, and you're not bothered about football. So say, right, lad, you can go to watch Liverpool and watch Everton, and you can make your choice. And what you've done there, you've taken your lad to watch Liverpool first. and then you say, right, we'll go and see Everton now, lad. And he's like, no, Dad, no, it's Liverpool. I want to watch Liverpool, that's it. No, you've got to go and see Everton. Nah, Dad, and Liverpool all the way. And what he did is put up a great dish and then a not so great dish.
Yeah.
But it must
And
be
the great dish was always going to win.
But at the same time, positive, you've got a lot of experience yourself, and like with cooking and that as well. Like,
Yeah. You know what you're on about.
personally, I love constructive criticism. If I do, I'd love to somebody tell me, "Oh, this is not good enough." Do you know what I mean? But I'd imagine, do the chefs sort of respect your opinions at the same time? Yeah, because the experience you had.
And some chefs take the criticism better, and sometimes they'll say, well, no, I think blah, blah, blah. Or something, it's just a small thing that needs to change, and someone, it's always collaborative, because someone will say, well, if we put X ingredient in there, that will change the dynamics, it will lift it or lighten it or whatever it's going to do, or give it more flavour. Or how about putting, I don't know, some bacon or some prawns, and putting pork in something, always, bacon anything makes it taste better. so it's really is a collaborative effect, and we've been going for a long time, so we've got a lot of back history of what we do as well. So, and that's the fun part, talking about food and mulling over ideas and coming out at the end with really good stuff. So it's.
See, I can't imagine you give it the. I can imagine your feedback is the analogy rather than the Gordon Ramsay. Fucking raw. Can't imagine you've got that in you.
It tastes like shit.
Idiot sandwich.
Yeah, an idiot sandwich. Yeah,
There's been a few times over the years when they've caught myself and Jonathan, my business partner, at a bad moment, and they'd be like, fucking shit, that lads.
Yeah.
Fucking go do it again. And it very, very, very rarely happens, but occasionally. And
It happens.
Sometimes you got to be blunt, haven't you? Just say, listen, this is how it is, yeah.
What do we like for time?
And sometimes you got to be blunt. You've got to be blunt to Jamie Oliver and say, your kid's names are terrible. Poppy, Honey, Rosie. Daisy, Boo, Pamela. Petal, Blossom, Rainbow. Buddy, Blair, Morris. And River Rocket.
River Rocket.
Let's move on from that.
Let's move on to that.
Just to add to that, the worst kids' names is Jacob Rees-Mogg's children's names.
Can I just say, as a parent, though, thinking of kids' names is quite hard.
Yeah.
It's a tough decision, because like, if you're growing up, like, I don't know, who's got a kid?
Do you think you could do better than River Rocket?
You also try and read them.
Sixes, Damien, Bonaface, Christopher, Anselm, Charles, Fitzwilliam, Rees-Mogg, Peter, Theodore, Alfredel, Rees-Mogg, Thomas, Wentworth, Somerset,
Tom and Thomas, what the fuck?
Mary Ann, Charles.
Jesus Christ.
The next opinion you have is Friends is not very good. I'm not going to use the language.
Oh, you're wrong there.
Yeah.
I think Friends is spot on, personally.
Tell you what.
I reckon they've got no friends. That's what they mean. Like, friends are overrated is what they mean. Not the show.
my little girl in lockdown got into Friends, and we watched it. And I can't believe how much sex is in there. Oh my god!
It's like a 12, innit?
And B, I can't believe how good Jennifer Aniston looked.
And it is fucking funny as well.
It is
funny.
Good, it is. And it's like,
it's for everyone as well.
It's not just for like that age group. Kids can watch it, you can watch it.
Yeah. It's funny
for everyone, innit? Do you know what I mean?
I remember watching it the first time round. That's how old I am.
Pugs and Frenchies are ugly dogs, and people only get them because they're expensive. I think pugs are quite a cruel species because they're actually deformed
they're
dogs.
interbred to like have nose.
They're
and breathe,
deformed.
yeah.
They're deformed animals, and like they don't have a high life expectancy because of it. Because like they have trouble breathing because
They're a fashion thing, aren't they?
They are. It is what it is. But fizzy drinks are horrible.
They are.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay.
Apart from beer. But like, it's just syrup. Like, have you ever seen when you get a Coke out of like in the bar or in Subway and half it's syrup and half it's soda? It's just like, that's just sugar.
Horrible.
Yeah.
I only drink fizzy drink when I'm like, I've had to drink the night before and like
Hungover
you need
or
a bit of a
something,
pick
yeah.
up.
I had one. I think it must have been a day like that, and I thought I need some sugar and some cold sugar, and I had I don't know, a Fanta or something before a meal. I couldn't eat my meal. It filled me up. I'm like, oh my god, how did kids drink this and then
all
eat something
day?
afterwards, yeah.
It is the bad news. I don't drink them anymore. Sausage dogs are quite shit. I personally think whoever put that is an absolute Dosher.
I
think they are the greatest dogs ever. Would never buy one, but I just like that when you see one in the park, you're like, oh, look at the sausage dog.
Yeah, just like belly waggling.
Struggling to get from one side of the park to the other. I love them. What have we got next?
There's a funny one about old people. If you're gonna read that one.
Yeah, I disagree with that, but it is a common opinion.
Avocado was not nice. What's your opinion on avocado?
Mashed up, chili and lime, little bit of coriander.
Yeah, alright.
I could love it, me. I love it, me.
That's like the food version of gin, innit? Like that's like avocado and everything. Yeah, it's
alright.
trendy.
You have it once or twice, and we had poached eggs of avocado for a while, and then you get a bit bored of it, and like go back to it.
I always have it, me. I have it with most things.
Same, I love it.
One of the questions that's just come up, I think we went through all the ones we were asked, is Paddy, have you ever lied about your birthday to get a free dessert?
About my birthday?
Have you ever lied about your birthday to get a free dessert?
No.
We do it to our mate. I think that was one of our mates. We always say when he goes into it, it's his birthday. And
it's a birthday.
And he come out banging the plates and he goes, fucking hell, I'm not paying for that. That's what he says.
A good question actually here for you actually is how has the rise of veggie and vegan affected your menu or anything like that?
Big. Back in the day, it was probably wasn't even a consideration, but I think the veggie to vegan and the dietary stuff that the EU brought in a couple of years ago, where you got all the allergies, that's been huge, and it's been an education. And a lot of chefs would have been, with veggie and vegans in the past, it'd have been but now it's a big part of what we do, and we have it's growing. Wheat intolerances and all dairy intolerances. It's massive, and we've put a lot of work into it, and we had one close escape where a chef made a huge error. And it was quite serious, and it was a wake up call to us. So it's we take it very seriously, and it's hard, isn't it? Because when I was a kid, none of this existed. Intolerance didn't exist really.
Well, I'm veggie now.
Oh yeah, you occasionally have a kid at the allergy or something, but now it's getting more, and whether it's more more awareness or lifestyle choice or people are developing more allergies. I'm not quite sure, but it's a big part of what we do.
Just want to keep up with it, innit?
The next popular opinion is vegans damage the earth.
Yeah, cutting all the plants down.
It's hard, isn't it? You try and you want to do the right thing, but in doing the right thing, you can do the wrong thing, can't you? And I think it's hard navigating, and I think a lot of the discourse in life politics is like everyone's banging on. And there was a girl on the radio this morning. She was part of Extinction Rebellion. She's left there, and she was her argument was they're going sort of declaiming numbers are too big and not supported, and it's trying to find that way. And
what I think is, if you want to go to a restaurant that's not vegan and moan that isn't not a good vegan choice, don't go.
Don't go. It's simple.
I wouldn't go to a vegan restaurant and say,
"Why is there no meat?"
Why is there no meat? Yeah, but and I eat all cuisine. I love vegan. I'll eat meat. I'll eat everything. I'd say like I eat 10% meat, and like veggie, and then vegan. But if I'm out, I'm like, oh, that looks nice. The chorizo in Salt House tapas.
To be fair, the chorizo I had in Salt House, because when I went, I was a carnivore at the time, and that was probably the best thing I had on the menu. I thought.
Yeah. Is it
so
honey?
Good.
Is it cooked in honey? Is it?
Well, we just drizzle with honey.
Yeah, it was so good.
I think that was the first chorizo I ever had, and then I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it's good stuff. That we've been to the factory where it's made in Rioja. So it's pretty special.
It's good gear. Like,
next
good
one
stuff.
is I don't like roast dinners. Whoever said that. Next.
Hasn't been to Hanover Street Social.
Old people aren't cute. They are grumpy most of the time and rude in social situations. They're nanders.
True. You get grumpy as you get older.
You do.
My dad says that, and he says there's more to be grumpy about. There's more to moan. I go, all you do is moan. He goes, got stuff to moan about. It's like, you're 24 living at home, you got nothing to moan about. Fair enough. Fair enough.
That's everything on the Instagram. But
what was next? We've done the album. We've done
Paddy, what we do every week is we do. Do you like that?
Should we do the 5 questions?
Oh yeah,
first?
we'll do the dad jokes first.
Do the dad jokes. Yeah.
Dad jokes are great, and embarrassing your kids are what dads are there for.
Do you need the book?
Do you need the book? You can open the book onto a joke, or you can say one your own. Do you have any unpopular opinions, Paddy? Anything you want to bring up? It's okay if you don't. We've had quite a few there.
Don't know really.
It's okay if you don't.
I'm pretty middle of the road kind of guy.
If nothing jumps to mind, I think it's not that unpopular. I think when something's unpopular.
Yeah, I think mine was the bounty one. That was my main one. I think a lot of people say to me, "Do you actually like bounties?" I'm like, "Yeah, when we twin pack."
I like a bounty.
I like a bounty, but they're not the best in celebrations.
I think they are.
Snickers are the best.
Oh, Snickers are unbelievable.
Bit of caramel, bit of nut, bit of chocolate.
For years I say to my brother, "You're weird, you eating a Snickers," and then I had one. I was like, "Wow, this is like the better Mars bar." What have I been doing?
So Paddy, open up, read any joke you like
Oh,
there.
God.
If you
If
don't
it
like,
sh-
if you
if
don't
it
like to
should
go to the
change
next
again.
section.
I think we're at the point now where someone else might have said it.
Nah.
I mean, there's
a lot
like
of jokes
100
there.
pages, I know, but
If we'll know straight away.
The best one is I can't remember the joke now. It's
Another punchline.
fuck, God, probably forget it now. Something about going. God, cut this bit. Something about going. You taking your wife to Jamaica or to Jamaica?
no, I went on
she won't.
holiday in the Caribbean and
Yeah.
go Jamaica. No.
No, yeah.
She come with me. She wanted to. That's a good.
You not heard that one before?
Oh, yeah, that's a good Jamaica. Now she wanted to. You go. I took her somewhere in the Caribbean. Bob Marley's from there. Jamaica. Now she wanted to. It's a good one, isn't it? I wish I could have remembered that, because it would have been. I'll use that on someone this week.
Paddy, just say it now if you want, and we'll just. Well, I didn't show it sounds good, Paddy. If you want to do that,
What the joke?
just say that joke,
Yeah.
and we'll just and like a.
No, because then we're going to have to force a laugh.
Yeah.
I can fake laugh me though. It's easy.
Yeah.
I do it all the time when you say jokes.
But he was the best comedian. That older guy. God, you won't remember your kids, aren't you? What the Tommy Cooper.
Tommy Cooper.
Tommy
Oh,
Cooper.
yeah.
He was so funny, and his time was brilliant. Trying to think of some of his jokes now. My business partner Jonathan, he is fantastic at stuff. You should have bloody got him today. He is fantastic at stuff, and he's got them off by Pat. He can roll them off, and
Yeah,
very
that's
very
like
funny.
you, innit? You live for them.
Do you know what though? I think I've said
Should
half
we
of
do
them.
one this week?
I've said half of them. All of, I get to a stage, I ain't good jokes. I'm like, I've told you that one. I've told you that one. Here we go.
I told my wife her eyebrows looked too high. She seemed surprised.
That's a good one.
Oh, these are great.
But anyway, to do it out, to do us out today, Paddy. First of all, I'd just like to thank you very much for coming on, and like,
You're welcome.
really appreciate you coming on. But we'll have the 5 questions to do out. I'll do one. Do you want to do one more? Do you want to do one more?
Why did the can crusher quit his job?
Why?
Because it was so depressing. I love this book,
Yeah,
you know.
it is great, isn't it?
Oh.
So, Paddy, the first question I'm going to ask you is, you don't have to name places,
Yep.
but what's the worst and best food you've ever eaten out?
That is such a subjective question.
I can imagine.
I would say the best meal I've ever had in my life was on my honeymoon. We went to Tuscany, and my wife, we'd always said we're going to go to stay in Portofino on our honeymoon, and I looked at hotel prices. The Splendido in Portofino, if you ever look at it, and it was this is in when we get married, 96, and it was at like 800 quid a night. Then it was fucking. I said, we're not staying there. Anyway, we stayed near Florence, and we had one night. We got married on Friday the 13th, and the holiday was
Bold
booked.
move.
Well, I was living in Moscow, so I came back, and it's the only date we could get. So it was either that or not get married. And I was like, let me think about it. So we got married Friday the 13th, and a lot of my friends came from Bermuda and Moscow for the holiday, so for the wedding. And I thought, I don't want to fuck off on the Saturday, and I want to have a bit of a party on the Saturday as well, and have everyone there. So it meant our holiday we had to like extend by one day.
Yeah.
So the last day we drove down to the coast of Portofino, which is just amazingly beautiful. And the first night we got there, it's a beautiful little bay, and you got all these very expensive restaurants and very touristy and all the rest of it. Well, we don't really want to do that. Well, let's see if there's anything back here we can out the back of town. And we found this little restaurant with nobody in there, and all night long there's only a few people in there. But it was a local fisherman who owned it, and my wife's pescatarian, so for us it was brilliant. And we had this amazing meal that went on for about 4 hours. I think we had 5 bottles of wine, and it lasted for, honestly, we got there at 7 o'clock and we were last to leave at 11:30, and we were in the kitchen singing with the chefs, and the food was all this fish and shellfish and all the rest. It was amazing food, but it was the night itself, honeymoon, Portofino.
Yeah,
it was
the best food, but also like one of the best nights you've ever had, didn't it?
Yeah. And the worst was we lived in the Caribbean after Grenada, after Moscow. We lived in Grenada, and we went to Barbados for a little holiday. And we went to a place called Crane Beach, which is an amazing beach, and had a hotel there. And the taxi driver said, whatever you do, don't eat in a hotel. But it's quite isolated, and I think it was Easter Sunday. It was a very religious day, so everywhere was closed around there, and there was a hotel or nothing, and it was quite a drive. So we said, how bad can it be? How bad can it be?
Yeah.
So
Famous last words.
so in this beautiful dining room overlooking the Caribbean Sea, and it was a buffet, and we went up, and oh my God, it was that bad. We sat down with our plates of food, and I said to my wife, I can't eat that. She said, no, I can't either. So we called off, said, "Can we get the bill, please?" And we paid for it without eating a mouthful of it. It was just,
Oh, really?
it was just foul. It was.
Wouldn't even feed it to the dogs.
Yeah, it was
that bad?
just the smell was, and there was lots of old people dribbling and sort of like taking the gnashes out, and it's just it was somewhat of a horror film as well. So yeah, that was the worst.
What the next question? Back to the music thing. What's your favourite Beatles song? You're not a Beatles fan?
Unpopular opinion.
Yeah, you can have that if you want.
I kind of am. And my mum and dad were massive because they were living in Liverpool when they were hitting big, whatever how you describe it. So I kind of am, but it was like I didn't want to follow the crowd of being a massive Beatles fan. But
yeah,
I am. I think Hey Jude probably, but
it's a good one. It is a good one, definitely.
Mine's Revolution.
Is it? Yeah.
Went to Glastonbury and I was with me my ex-girlfriend at the time, and there was
So you went to Glastonbury with your ex-girlfriend?
She was my girlfriend at the time. Anyway, I went there and I was stood in the crowd watching the bootleg Beatles, and it's like a tribute to the Beatles, but like they're quite big. They're very big. They play Glastonbury every year, and the last like 3 songs they played, they sort of went off, and everyone walked away, and they come back and went, "Where you all going?" And he just started playing Revolution. I started crying.
Did you?
It was so emotional. It was like it got all the most better than me. Probably the drink got it better than me as well. Like.
The night before my dad died, my sister went to visit him. She's called Judy, and we call her Jude.
Yeah.
So I don't know why, but he decided to sing Hey Jude to my sister the night before he died.
Oh, so that means something to you then, doesn't
Yeah,
it? It's a good choice.
That's the thing with the Beatles. Like you say, you're not the biggest fan, but like they've got a place.
You can't escape them, can you? You can't escape them. Yeah.
What's next question is what's your favourite restaurant in Liverpool?
Not one of my own.
If you want to say one of your own, that's fine.
I'd have to say Salt House because it's my baby, and it's the first restaurant I owned, and like I said before, put everything on the line.
One that's not yours.
Yeah. What do you think's like? Oh, that's cool.
Well, different ones. I love Murray.
Yeah.
And the guys are brilliant. I know Jay really well. Went to Nepal with him on a trek with Action Against Hunger, one of the charities we support. So I love Murray and I love everything they do and what they stand for. I like Roski. I've only been once, but I like Roski and I think the food's good. Art School with Paul. I used to cook fine dining when I was in the hotels, and I did it for years and years and years. I got so fed up with it, and I got fed up with eating it. The whole thing, the whole that's not fair. The whole rigmarole of it all. I was just like, I went with my wife. We were on one Michelin star restaurant, and it was just painful. And then we said we'll have some cheese. So he brought the cheese trolley over and went through 15 cheeses and described every one of it. And we're like, oh God, just give some cheddar, mate. and then they brought
a tour of Ritz.
And then they brought the biscuits over, 15 biscuits, and started talking about the biscuits. We're like, oh God, no. So I mean that kind of like that sort of I got fed up with that. So I love what Paul does, and Paul's a great guy, and I love the room. It's just brilliant. So
great that.
So they're the places I'd go to. Those 3 places in Liverpool.
About it. What's if you had to pick one country or one cuisine, just what would you pick? What's your go-to? Your favourite, yeah.
To live or just to go?
To eat.
To eat, yeah. What's your favourite?
What's your favourite type of cuisine? Is it
cuisine to cook and eat, and what you love the most? Like, oh, I love that.
My mum's cooking.
Yeah, you can't beat your mum's cooking, you know. You can't.
My mum's cooking first. Cuisine, probably be Italian, I think.
Yeah.
Italian
Once I was asked in an interview, what's your most important piece of equipment? And like a knobhead, I said, my pasta machine, thinking that was the right answer. It was a wrong answer.
What was the right?
Your chef's knife is your most important piece of equipment. Your chef's knife. Fucking pasta machine. What was I thinking? I love Italian food, and I love Italy. I love Spain as well, but I think Italy just edges it. I think there's something about, I don't know, the soul of Italians. I'd love to be an Italian.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Nice olive skin, good there.
Yeah.
Beautiful girls.
And then the last question is, who's the most famous person you've ever served food to? Is there anyone who sticks out? I said you've had before when we were discussing, with this question in mind, you've cooked for a lot of celebrities. Is there anyone that sticks out?
Well, not even the most famous, because that's subjective. Who's the person who you thought, wow, I've got to serve
I'm cooking for him here.
Well, we've done the Melwood thing, so I've cooked for the Liverpool team a few times now.
Yeah.
Met Klopp. 2-3 times now.
Good fella, is he? Yeah, as imagine.
Well,
He's fantastic.
we did it at Bacaro, and I think it was second season maybe, and he's a big smoker. And so he came to me and said, the club, first of all, the security guy said, we need somewhere for Jurgen to have a smoke. I said, well, the only place is my office, really, because we can't smoke upstairs. So we got in the Bacaro, we got a basement office. So he went down for a few fags, and then
going in after him. Like.
and I got my lad who was 16 at the time to come and work for me for the night, because the whole squad was there. It was a great night.
Boss.
And about 10 o'clock he went downstairs for some food, and he closed my door, and there's a lock on it. So Jurgen found me and he said, your door's locked, can you give me the code? I said, I can't remember it really. It's one of those key things. I said, I said, I'll come down with you. I need to be there to put the numbers in. So I went downstairs, put the numbers in. I thought, Jurgen? And as I walked in, my son's there mid-pizza as Jurgen Klopp walks in. I said, have a seat. And I thought, why not? Might as well have a seat myself. So we started chatting, and his wife came down. She had a fag as well. And then we were chatting away. It's dead nice, and they both had a fag. And then she says, right, I better go back upstairs now. And I thought, that's brilliant, it's great. And it's perfect time for Jurgen to say, thanks very much, and go back upstairs. He stayed for another 15 minutes, and we talk about football. And he was chatting to my lad, and it was fucking brilliant. I would have died from it that moment. And we missed the Dortmund game. We were on holiday, and the Dortmund game, the 4-3, we were in the airport lounge as it was 3-3. Is that right? Yeah, 3-3. So we got on a plane. We didn't know what the score was. So we were telling him that, and he's like, my God, you missed Dortmund. How can you miss Dortmund? I tell you, he was fucking brilliant. And the best thing was, he took an interest in what we had to say as well.
You can imagine him to be like that.
I've heard a few people say that. Is like, when he spoke to him, he was very like there with them and very involved.
Like, Joe, if you see him on a night out, you go like, oh, nice to meet you. You'd be like, oh, where are you going? I can imagine to be like that. Where you been? Like, do you know what I mean? I can imagine to be like that. So would you say he's probably the one who sticks out?
Yeah, probably. I'd have to, we've...
have to think about it.
Yeah, probably the most famous. Probably there's quite a few. I mean, Andy McCluskey out of OMD. If you know OMD, don't you? Do you know OMD?
No.
Don't you know OMD? Bloody you kids.
OMG, we don't know OMD.
I was a bit of a new romantic when I was a kid, and OMD were like, they were
what
big.
Song? What of the?
Enola Gay was the biggest one. Enola Gay, she left.
Oh, from Liverpool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know them. Yeah.
OMD.
What's they called? Like, what's the
orchestral manoeuvres?
That's it. Yeah.
So I was a bit of a new romantic,
Yeah.
and Enola Gay was the first single I ever brought. So Andy McCluskey is a friend of my business partner. So I've got to know him over the years, and I've known him for about 6 months or so, and I've seen him a few times. So I said, look, Andy, I've got to tell you a little story here. He said, what's that? I said, Enola Gay was the first single I ever brought. He said, was it? He said, yeah. I said, I saved up for a couple of weeks my money and like whatever it was, and I went down to the shops and I brought this single. I was so proud of it. I was walking home. I met my brother on the way home, and he's into the Jam. And he said, what you got there, lad? I said, single. He said, the first single I've ever bought. He said, what is it? I said, it's OMD. And he punched me. He punched me. He said, you fucking puff. So he's like, yeah.
Did you tell him that story?
Yeah. You fucking puff.
Did he shine it for you then?
Long gone that. So. Yeah, I mean, there's been loads of people over the years, but at bands and stuff. But I mean,
Must get them all in
I don't
restaurants.
know, yeah, I can imagine.
I've seen a few people in restaurants, and you don't go over in a restaurant. You think you're out.
The most famous person I met, actually, probably is Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
I left Bermuda, and I had a friend, a girl, and she got us a place, and we stayed in New York. And the night before, I'd been out till 5 a.m, bladdered, and we got on the plane like early, the red eye at 6, 7 a.m, and we get to New York, and we're like dead excited, and we have to walk around. So we had to walk around. Got a bit lost, and we walked past this shop, and it sold tiny little shop, sold sneakers and socks and stuff like that. So I need to go in there and get some socks for my boyfriend. And at this point, I'm dehydrated, red hot, lost. I'm like, oh God, whatever. So I sit down like this, and she's going to buy her socks, and she comes up to me, stands in front of me. She said, look behind you. I'm like, just get your fucking socks. I want to go home. I want to go to bed and go to sleep. Get your socks. I said, no, look behind you. So like that, and there's this black dude, and he's got his hair up here. And it's, what's his name? His manager, he's a real crook. It'll come to me.
I only know.
I know who you mean, but I don't know his name.
Yeah, so his manager's got his hair up here. I can't remember his name.
Something white, isn't it? Is it white? Something like that, yeah.
What's his name? Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, so he's there.
I only remember on the
So I think, fucking hell, that's Mike Tyson's manager. So. Don King, that's it.
That's it.
That's fucking Mike Tyson. I'm like, it's fucking Mike Tyson. Hello. So, and this is when he's world champion, This is
height of his fame,
91, and all the rape stuff's down the line. So, and nobody else in the shop. So we get up, and I'm like, we're trying to be cool looking at trainers, and I thought, oh, fuck this. So I pick up a New York Yankees baseball top, and I walk over to him, and I said, hey, champ, sorry to bother you. Would you mind signing this for me? He said, yeah, sure, man, no problem. Who's it to? And signs it, all the rest of it. Said, cheers, really appreciate that. And walk away, go and pay for it. So a second later, he says, hey, you. I'm like, he said, yeah, you, come over here. I said, what do you want, champ? He said, you're English, aren't you? He said, yeah. He said, so he stands up at this point, walking towards me. And I said, what do you want my autograph for, man? I said, well, you're the champ, aren't you? He said, yeah, I am. I said, that. He said, you should. He said to me, you should want Frank Bruno's autograph. I said, nah, man, you knocked him out. He said, yeah. So he walks towards me, starts punching me on it. I'm like, Mike Tyson's punching me.
Hungover.
And obviously this is 91, 92, whatever. No phones, nothing like that. We didn't have a camera on us. So I get home and say, lads, I met Mike Tyson in New York and he punched me. And everyone's like, yeah, fucking
You're lying. That was the air.
Even my wife, I met my wife shortly after that, and she kind of like, I believe you because I love you, but I don't believe you really.
Yeah. It's got to happen to someone though.
And a couple of years later, we met the girl I was with, and I said, right, tell her who we met in New York. And she's like, yeah, Mike Tyson. So he's probably the most famous person.
Yeah.
Not cooked for him, but who I've met.
Boss.
He was a lovely cooking though.
Yeah, definitely. He'd love that chorizo.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
that's everything we've got. Have you got anything anything coming up?
No.
Anything you want to come up there? Anything to plug?
Hopefully no, nothing to plug really. Just hopefully we'll soldier on and
just get
not have another massive lockdown and all the rest of it.
One thing we always do at the end is what we've learned from today, that your restaurants are spot on.
Yeah.
And if you get the opportunity to go whenever that is, get yourselves down there as soon as.
Yeah, while we can. Do you think anything will happen there? I think you'll always be able to go to restaurants, mate.
Don't know. It depends how bad it gets.
We'll wait and see.
I mean, I was hoping through lockdown that they'd get a track and trace system that works and a testing system. It doesn't look like they've got either really. So, and you need to do both to control this, and you need to know where the virus is and where the outbreaks are and control it. So, who knows? It's
just get down while you can, innit?
Yeah.
But Paddy, thank you very much for coming on today. It's been a pleasure, mate.
Thank you very much.
It's great, that.
And that's time.